You're not going down a failed path. And I wanted to tell you something. This is a pattern. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M $70-something million. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. I mean, maybe we'll let President Trump pick it. He loves winners. You know? I'm not going to be picking the next coach. But I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that that coach is successful, and we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly, and we're going to put metrics on it. No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. Who will be? I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach.
Mark that up to Exhibit A for things you just don't hear a lot.
That's a press conference you hear in the midst of the offseason.
Right.
When there's just nothing to talk about.
Nothing else going on.
And like you just need something to get you through the dog days of summer. But that's incredible.
The governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, making it known and making it clear that the guy that was hired to do this, to hire coaches, that's his job. Scott Woodward would not be doing so, even invoking President Trump in the mix and saying, hey, I'd have President Trump do it because he's been hiring a whole bunch of coaches. Now, obviously, that he was using that as a joke, but it just lets you know how much that people are frustrated with the decision makers at LSU. Of course, they were frustrated with Brian Kelly because he wasn't winning on the field. But this goes to another level that I have never seen. I can say that I've just literally, unilaterally never seen a public official from a governor's standpoint tell a state-owned university, hey, you know what? Your AD is not making this decision.
I'm honestly shocked that the LSU AD, Scott Woodward, is responsible for $130 million worth of buyouts because he was over at Texas A&M and gave Jimbo Fisher that 10-year, $90 million extension that now Texas A&M is still on the books for $76.8 million. I mean, look how it worked out for them, though. They got Mike Elko out of it. But still, how does he still have a job right now?
That's insane. That is insane. And I will say, hey, it's kind of glass half empty, half full. I'll give him 2 lines of credit here. He did hire Kim Mulkey, the women's basketball coach. He did hire Jay Johnson to lead the LSU baseball team. Both have come back to Baton Rouge for national championships. But you're right. Football is the straw that stirs the drink, really, at all schools, especially there in Baton Rouge. And he is now struck out twice with Texas A&M and with LSU.
Look, honestly, just hire a guy, a director of football operations,
right,
like
exactly.
Like a general manager. We see general managers now
all the time.
Good friend here, Jim Nagy over at Oklahoma. Yep. Just hire someone like that who can just focus on the football program. Because clearly, Scott Woodward, you're good at hiring coaches in other sports.
Right.
It's just football. You're 0 for 2. And now you're responsible for universities owing a boatload of money to these coaches to do nothing.
This is one of the things, I just thought about that as you were talking. It might be a situation where if you come out in one regard and say, hey, look, the football team will have to almost run itself like by itself, as its own entity, its own money-making entity, and maybe have your athletic director be the head of every other sport outside of football. Do you think a situation like that could work?
Yeah, I mean, clearly he hasn't done well in football.
For sure, yes.
But as you mentioned, hired Jay Johnson, hired Kim Mulkey. He's good at finding coaches in other sports. It's just for some reason it doesn't work in in football.
Right.
So honestly, I think the LSU football program basically already runs itself.
Absolutely.
With the popularity and how successful they've been. Obviously now we're starting to see the baseball team. Jay Johnson's got a great crew over there.
Right.
And then Kim Mulkey just won the national championship, I believe, 2 years ago now?
2 years ago,
2 years ago now, yeah. So, I mean, they're doing just fine. But I just think, you bring up a good point, I think the football team just needs to go be themselves, go be their own entity. I mean, it already feels like they've got that aura around them anyways.
Correct,
so why don't they just actually go do it?
Right, and almost hire somebody that will be hiring that position, literally for football, because it will be a slippery slope and it will be a tricky road for whoever hires whoever in this cycle because so many prominent jobs are now open, and now Brian Kelly will be in the mix of coaching candidates that
Yeah.
are in the market for other head coaching jobs. There you see that Woodward not involved in the LSU hire, and this is primarily the reason why, is because Jimbo Fisher got 3/4 of I was about to say nearly $100 million, and then Brian Kelly about close to $500,000, nearly $500,000 there on that buyout. And once again, both those buyouts are not like James Franklin's, where they didn't come with a bunch of stipulations that made you think about being able to hire those guys or not. So whoever it will be, we don't know from Governor Landry who it will be or not. But in my situation, or from my standpoint, if he does hire somebody to hire this guy, and he mentioned a search committee and things like that, who do you think should be their target? Who do you think should be their number one?
For head coaching or
For head coaching, that's right.
So it's a little bit interesting because I've been following the sports books, and the three most notable candidates, I mean, the first two are kind of expected, Lane Kiffin, John Summerall, but they think Joe Brady might be able to swing him away from the Bills and take the LSU head coaching job. So I was very candid yesterday. I don't think Lane Kiffin is going to leave Oxford. I will stick by that opinion right now. I think, honestly, the number one right now, if it were me, and I were the head of this committee that Jeff Landry put me in charge of, you have to go for John Summerall, number one, because he's right in your backyard.
Yeah, he's right there. Yeah.
And if you let him go to somewhere else in the SEC and he just goes and beats up on LSU, then everyone's going to be like, come on, man. He was right here. He's just in New Orleans.
Right.
I kind of like Joe Brady too, but at the same time, Bills aren't really doing too much on offense right now.
That's the biggest thing. With Joe Brady, to me, it's almost like a situation that you have with who was the offensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions, who's now, his name is slipping my mind, who's now the head coach in Chicago. Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson was known as a scheme guy.
Yeah.
And then he's the OC, scheme guy, takes Detroit to great lengths, and now he's the head coach. And not necessarily it's going poorly in Chicago, but it's okay. It's average. To me, there's a certain gamble you take with an offensive coordinator of any kind, and you roll the dice as a head coach. We've seen Brady be excellent in college as an OC. We saw that with the 2019 team. Does that always translate to the next thing up with the squad as a head coach? I think that's always been the key there. We've seen it work, and we've seen it not work in a lot of these situations.
The thing that just scares me about Brady is, you look at the 2019 LSU National Championship. That the thing is, that's arguably the most loaded roster in college football history.
Probably the most talented team to ever walk college football.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
Terrence Marshall was the only one that really didn't have any success in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you look at what he's doing right now with Josh Allen. I mean, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir are your two best receivers.
Right. James Cook.
But, I mean, you got James Cook. Let James Cook.
Right.
He's having a great year. I believe he just ran for over 200 yards against the Panthers.
Yeah.
It just makes me a little bit uneasy, and that's why I feel like John Summerall is the perfect candidate. To me, they've got to go for a Group of 5 guy.
Okay, yeah.
I just see that, and I know, was it Trey yesterday that said he doesn't think this year, but next year we'll see a college football playoff team head coach leave for a different job.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe roll the dice and you see it this year. I mean, I don't know if – I don't think Tulane's going to make the college football playoff. I think
they're on the outside looking
in. But the one that's in right now is Memphis and Ryan Silverfield. That might be a pretty good hire.
That might be a really good hire, and he has shown himself that he's ready to kind of talk some trash with the big boys. We've played that sound. You had that sound here on this program.
About Kirby Smart.
About Kirby and the cars and whatnot. No, he will be interesting. A lot of the Group of 5 guys will be interesting to see who takes that next step going into this year. Meanwhile, for LSU, there's got to be somebody to close out the season, and it will be Frank Wilson closing out the season. I jotted down some notes because I wasn't very familiar with him as an assistant coach, but he's been everywhere, but he is a Louisiana guy through and through. He was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, played his high school obviously there in that area, but he also played at Nicholls State, which is right there in the Louisiana area. his head coaching or his coaching tenure has taken him all over. He went to Ole Miss, to Southern Miss, to Tennessee, LSU the first time. Then went to go be a head coach at UTSA and McNeese State before coming back to LSU. So you could tell every time he left Louisiana, his heart always pulled him back. He left, he came back. So he's a Louisiana guy through and through. And our friend Chester Boucher, I saw her, she had a post on Instagram. She had the post where it was him at a press conference, but Chester mentions the fact that LSU has needed this because it felt like Brian Kelly, in a lot of ways, was divorced from that community in Baton Rouge and was looking to be just a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, he pulled out the Southern accent. He tried his hardest.
The warning signs were there.
He was faking his way around campus, and it just never felt like Brian Kelly totally understood it. And I go back to the soundbite that we played from Kirby Smart in the first hour where he was saying how when he was at LSU, that's not your office. You're just renting it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Brian Kelly, just the way that he walks around, probably felt like he owned the place, owned that office, and look what happened.
Yep. And we've seen people, we know people that treat, whether it's Airbnbs, rental cars, we see the ones that treat it with care, and we see the ones that treat it like it is.
You see locker rooms.
Locker rooms the exact same way. You see the people who do it, and I think Frank Wilson, as he knows he's not going to be the head coach for LSU moving forward, I think even if he wins out, he won't be the head coach.
No.
But he knows that this can be an audition for him as he moves forward in his coaching career, then this could be something for him to use as a stepping stone moving forward.
And honestly, I feel like this is one of the interesting ones because if LSU does go and hire a group of 5 guy, we could see a coaching trade.
Yes.
If Wilson were to win
That's a
out
good point.
and say, John Summerall,
Right.
why don't you, we'll pay you some money, come up here. Frank Wilson already said he likes it in Louisiana. He always comes back. Why doesn't he just take a 2-hour drive down the road, go coach at Tulane, be the head coach there, get nice experience with a good group of 5 program and good resources there to maybe parlay it into something else. I don't know. It's very early. I mean, they just fired Brian Kelly the other day, so we'll see. We saw a college football player trade with Joey Aguilar and Nico.
Yes, that's right.
So maybe we'll see a coaching trade.
Can we see a coaching trade? It looks something that could be very, very enticing for LSU as they move forward. We got a chance to hear from Frank Wilson about what LSU means to him.
It's important to our state. I think it's important. You put it this way. I was a head coach at another university in this state. I left that university as the head coach to come back here, right? And I chose to. I chose to come back here because it's a very, very unique place that there's no place like LSU. I've worked at universities in this conference, around this country, and there's something about the people here. And so when you speak of LSU, you can talk about the beautiful stadium, the Pantheon, right? The concrete, this beautiful facility that we're in. But LSU's not bricks and mortar. It's the people. It's the people that make LSU what it is. And we live and we thrive in a people society that as we evoke into relationships, it cuts deep. And so it's totally different than another school where you just go to work, that you become a part of it. It becomes a part of you. And it's the people in this building, it's the people in this community, it's the people in this state that gravitates, that pulls you in. And it's why we say forever LSU, because it's not just a job.
So you can tell he's speaking from the heart right there. LSU means a lot to him. The school he mentioned, it was actually McNeese State, where he was the head coach. He said, you know what? I don't want to be the head coach. I want to be an assistant coach at LSU. He came back, and now he'll have his chance to take LSU to that next level until they get a new head coach. The first test will be the Alabama Crimson Tide coming up on November the 8th. We'll see how they can do it there against the Tide. But in my opinion, this will come back to, in my opinion, how does LSU look going down the stretch? This is kind of where Bobby Petrino has fumbled the ball in some ways. The team has looked good, but the interim coach will not be the head coach because they need to stack wins.
Here's the most interesting thing to me about this whole thing. Once Brian Kelly got fired, we saw former players talking about, oh, Brian Kelly didn't do this for me. Brian Kelly did not help me in this situation. So it almost felt like it was just a toxic energy in the clubhouse, so to speak, and it definitely felt like the players quit on him against Texas A&M.
Yep.
Now, from the sounds of it, Frank Wilson sounds like a guy that these players like. So they're
Right.
going to be playing for their head
No
coach
question.
here
No
against
question.
Alabama. And I'd just be interested to see how they look going into Tuscaloosa. I mean,
Right.
Bama's going to come in as presumably the number 4 team in the country. I think by then, this is the last week that AP poll matters.
Right,
I believe
before
we
the
have the
committee poll,
we
yeah.
have the committee poll, but I just don't think they're going to move on their off week.
Right.
I'd honestly be interested to see. I don't know what the line is. I don't know if it's out yet, but
That
I
might be a look-ahead line. I'll check
I
really
would
quick.
be shocked if it was more than one touchdown. Genuinely be shocked.
Really, because of that much respect for what LSU can be.
Yeah,
or what-
I mean, they have guys.
absolutely. Yeah,
Trey
no
Des
question.
Green has been a calamity for them.
No
and then
question,
Garrett
yeah.
Nussmeier, we know Garrett Nussmeier can play. It just feels like there was a quit on this team once they started to lose games. After the Ole Miss game, it felt like they started to quit a little bit. And then you look at this game, they definitely started to quit. And then the Vanderbilt one, it was like, oh my goodness, we just lost to Vanderbilt. And
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, and that game is in Tuscaloosa. I don't see a look-ahead
Okay.
line right now, but
I would put it at
according,
5.5.
Okay, and that sounds about fair. Between anywhere between 5.5 and 7.5, I think is a fair number according to the ESPN analytics. Alabama about an 81% chance to win the football game. So we'll see where the line comes out. Of course, the odds makers might have a few lines offshore. We'll see what those are coming up next.